So welcome everyone to Spiritual Hour. We're very, very lucky today to have our guest speaker, Jessica Mendes, here with us today. And I'm
Hello.
not going to do a lot of an introduction as to who she is. I would like her to introduce herself, tell us a bit about herself. So yes, over to you, Jessica.
All right, sounds good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Jessica Mendes, otherwise known as Guided Space on social media. The reason why I picked that name is because it was like a space to guide you from within. And that was a name I had created in 2016 when I first created my wellness blog. And I've always been into spirituality, the mysticism, and all that esoteric things. Excuse me. And it wasn't until recently that I started using that name again more on other platforms on TikTok and Instagram for my coaching business. So I am known as a twin flame coach. So I'm not sure if you have seen my videos, but I coach on mentor people on twin flames, spirituality, and relationships. I try to do all three, but it seems like most people want to come to me about twin flames because it's the trend right now. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm a spiritual coach and I want to help people on their twin flame journey.
That sounds great. And well, actually, the twin flame discussion is quite a big one at the moment, and I'm glad you brought it up because there's so much confusion in people's minds as to what is a twin flame and what is a soulmate and what is a karmic. Would you be able to? Yes.
I can try to do a rundown with all that. Sometimes I'll be here for days talking about that. But yeah, there are differences, right? And the key differences. So everyone confuses twin flames with karmics because twin flames are all about mirroring you, and they're here to help you grow. But each relationship is here to help you grow. Real soulmates are here to help you grow. Karmics are here to help you grow. Twin flames are here to help you grow. It's just that a twin flame awakens you spiritually on an extreme level. So soulmate, you can have many soulmates. Oftentimes we've all confused like finding the one as our soulmate, when in reality we actually have many soulmates. So like Serena, to me, I feel like she's one of my soulmates because we just connect on such a deep level, right? It's those relationships that you have an instant connection with, and it lasts for a very long time. It's very peaceful, usually have the same, similar foundations, core values, etc. So usually they're platonic. You can have romantic soulmates, but if they don't last forever, right? But they can end up becoming platonic towards the end after it's over. For example, karmics are what are more toxic, right? Or considered to be toxic. Not all karmics have to be toxic, but they're there to teach you a big lesson. And usually it's self-love or setting boundaries. That's usually what it is. Whereas twin flames are also there to teach you self-love. And this is why people confuse twin flames and karmics, because they almost teach you similar things. And because of the intensity of both of them, right? I had a karmic ex. He was not toxic at all. He was actually a very sweet gentleman, but he triggered me so much. And it was more a possessive thing. I was very possessive. I had to have him. Like, why won't this man want me? Why doesn't he love me? Like, I do so much for him. Right? It's very like you have to have it. And it is fiery, right? There's intense passion and all that stuff. But he was there to show me that, I should not be chasing a man for love, right? And with twin flames, they both feel the connection. They both feel the intensity. And twin flames can never be platonic. No matter what people tell you, they cannot be platonic. It's not just a friendship thing. It is very much fiery, sexual, passionate from the minute you meet. And a lot of times people who meet their twin flame, this doesn't apply to everybody, but a lot of times you're almost like, I don't know why I'm attracted to this person, because they're usually not your type. But yet you feel extremely drawn. Why is that? Because that's literally it's like the other half of your soul essence. You feel so comfortable and you feel so drawn to them because they're bringing you back to home. That's essentially the purpose of a twin flame, is bringing you back to who you are. So what a twin flame does, the whole mirroring and everything, it's mirroring your shadows to work on, to go within, right? So it's a lot of self-love. And then what happens within the twin flame journey every single time, and this is how you know it's a twin flame journey, is it lasts for typically 6 to 8 weeks on average. You're talking to them and it's intense, it's passionate, and it's, oh my God, what is this? This is crazy. It's magnetic. I can't get enough of it. It's like a drug. It's literally like, you know, the term like love is a drug. That is what a twin flame is. A twin flame is like, it feels like a drug. And when after those 6 to 8 weeks, or sometimes more than around 3 months, what happens is there's a divine feminine and divine masculine. That divine masculine will suddenly just disappear. They'll ghost you. They'll leave you with unexpectedly. And it drives the divine feminine crazy. Like, what just happened? Right? It shatters her. Or him, because it's actually based on energy. So masculine and feminine does not have to be heterosexual, and it's not based on your gender. It's actually based on your energy. But usually the woman will carry the divine feminine energy and the man will carry the masculine. But like I said, it's not like that in all cases. And so what happens is the divine masculine runs. That's why there's the term as runner and chaser. So the divine masculine runs and it shocks the divine feminine soul to her core. Like, it's literally like, what's happening to me? And they start going through what's called the dark night of the soul. It's an ego death. So it makes you shed your ego. So I know I'm going off a lot, but this is why I said I could be here for hours, because I have to really explain the difference of a twin flame, because only a twin flame will do this to you. So after the divine masculine runs, the divine feminine suddenly starts panicking, starts crying uncontrollably, doesn't even know why, because they know deep down, like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I crying? Why do I feel this way? I barely even know this person. Usually they barely know anything about this person, and yet they feel so drawn to them. So they're trying to think logically with their ego. This doesn't make sense. I have no reason to cry. I need to just get over this person and I can go off and date other people. But it doesn't work that way. And your ego has to be shattered. Why? So that you can awaken spiritually. You need to fall out of the 3D matrix and go into that 5D consciousness. And what happens is the divine feminine suddenly starts to want to go within, starts to want to heal. They seek therapy at first because that's what they know. And then suddenly they're like, oh, maybe I should go to a psychic or a healer, something more spiritual. And they start meditating and they start doing Reiki and they start seeking all these spiritual practices to go within and grow. And that is how, and I'm having chills right now, that's spiritual confirmation. That is how you know. And you start to rise. The divine feminine starts to rise in a twin flame journey. They start to know their mission. They start to find their purpose and their path, right? And that's how I knew my mission and purpose was being on this twin flame journey. Whereas with the karmic situation, you start to hit obstacle after obstacle after obstacle because you're in a relationship that is not serving you. It is not making you grow. You are not evolving, and you keep spiraling downwards. Whereas with the twin flame, you're just rising and rising and rising. You have these peaks of moments where you're crying and you feel depressed and you're like, what's going on? But at the same time, you are still rising and you're evolving spiritually. Okay. So that's kind of more or less the difference between the three.
Wow, that was an excellent explanation.
Thank you.
I felt those shivers as well. I just want to ask everybody here, does anybody have any questions for Jessica at this point about the difference between the karmics or the twin flames or the soul mates, the three? And I just want to also welcome, yes, Samrat.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to figure out, like, should I raise my hand? Yeah, so what happens, and my question is, what happens to the divine masculine that runs in a twin flame situation? Like, is their job done, or are they feeling some sort of part in that journey of self-discovery?
Yes, 100%. It just takes them a while to figure it out. So in the beginning, they're running, and a lot of times the divine masculine doesn't even know why they're running. They just feel this intense connection, and to their 3D mind, a lot of times it's their ego. Their ego is just like, this is too much for me. This isn't going to work out. I'm not worth this kind of love, because the divine feminine shows a lot of love to the divine masculine. And so a lot of times the divine masculine is like, this is too good to be true. I'm going to run before I get hurt, because that's what the ego does. It protects us from getting hurt, from getting harmed. And so they run. But it's also the divine interfering, intervening, making them run so that the divine feminine can go within. So they both work hand in hand. Now, they are feeling this connection as well. The divine masculine definitely feels it, but it isn't until later, when the divine feminine is really honing into their power, once the divine feminine's gotten to a higher level of self-discovery and inner work and really feeling balanced, because you have to balance your energies, your masculine, feminine energies on this journey. That's kind of what the purpose of this is, because you can't just be in your feminine. And a lot of times the feminines are actually in their masculine because they do the chasing and they're trying to make things work. And the divine feminine has to be in the state of flow. And only when the divine feminine is in that state of flow, is, working on herself or himself and really just feeling grounded and balanced and spiritually evolved and is on their mission, on their purpose, only then will the masculine come back and, usually confess their feelings or, tell you that they feel the same way. And then the masculine will, usually what happens is they come in and then they come back out. They go away again, because then they have to do the work. So that's what's happening with my situation. My divine masculine came in, admitted his feelings, and then a month later took off. Okay. And I assume because we can feel their feelings, right? That's another thing about this journey, is you can feel telepathically. You can feel it telepathically with high evolved or high level soulmates as well. And especially because we are entering 5D consciousness, we kind of start feeling telepathically with everybody, right? But with the twin flame, you feel them through your heart center. So when something is off with your divine masculine, you can feel it in your heart. So I can feel that my divine masculine is going through something. And so they come in and they run away to work on themselves, while the divine feminine has to continue working on themselves too.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I hope I answered your question.
No, that was perfect. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have Trish has her hand up. Trish, would you like to go ahead and pose a question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So is it necessary to go through this for the divine feminine to ascend and, well, first of all, go through the dark night of the soul and to eventually elevate into a higher state of consciousness and 5D consciousness? Is it only via a twin flame crash and burn experience?
No, absolutely not. It's just that it's more noticeable when it is due to a twin flame, because it's somebody that sparked it within you. I feel like we've all gone through many different spiritual awakenings. I know, speaking with Serena, she's gone through the same thing. I went through multiple awakenings throughout my life, right? And they all led me to want to become better and evolve and balance my feminine. But it was a twin flame that it wasn't until the twin flame journey that was when I heard more about the divine feminine and divine masculine energies, balancing those. But you don't have to have a twin flame to spark that within you. No, you can go through an ego death or dark night of the soul because of other things. Usually it's the loss of somebody, the loss of a loved one, or even the loss of a job, right? It's what's making your earth shatter. Like it's making
your identity.
It's almost like an identity crisis, because it's making you reevaluate everything in your life. Like when I had my ego death, my dark night of the soul, suddenly, and I was like all over social media. I was like, gotta post and take pictures of this, things that just did not matter. Right now I'm always posting on social media, but it's for my business. I haven't touched my personal social media in I don't know how long, but on my personal social media, that's all I was doing, because it was all ego based. Like it was like, it didn't matter. So it shattered that side of my ego, and it made me want to focus on what does matter. And that's what your dark night of the soul and ego death will do to you. It makes you rise and want to become a better version of yourself.
And so typically in a twin flame connection, in your, for instance, if we used your example, were you open to him coming back because it is a twin flame, or were you like, nope, don't talk, don't bother, we're done, you know?
Oh no, I was definitely open to it. He's my twin. Of course I want union.
Okay, so there's
I know
there's
some
no,
people don't.
yeah, because the reason I ask is because, you know, despite the fact that it was not 3 months, it was 11 years, but I feel very, very, there's lots of similarities for me, but it felt karmic to me. My relationship was toxic / karmic. And yet I think that there's a twin flame thing, because I feel like I'm cut in half. And even though I don't want it, even though I know it's bad for me, even though I know it's the only reason it was very good for me is because I fought to get out and I raised because of that. But
yeah, that seems more karmic. If it was very toxic and you wanted to get out, that would be karmic. It's you don't, and that's the thing, is a lot of people confuse the two, because karmics can last a long time. They're in and out. I mean, it took me a long time to get over my karmic before, you know, a couple years. And and I wanted to get over him. And it was a struggle. Eventually I did. Right now I look at his pictures and I'm like, I feel absolutely nothing. Whereas like with it, see, and that's the thing, if you feel nothing for your twin, or for that person, when you look at their photos, that's not your twin. Let me tell you something. When you see your twin flame, so I'm going to give another example. I always have to use my personal examples. I hadn't seen my twin, and I didn't know he was my twin. Okay, when we reconnected 12 years after not speaking with one another. Okay, I had no clue. I was like, oh, I wonder whatever happened to this guy. Like, you know, I was watching a movie and it reminded me of him. And I thought, oh my God, I hadn't spoken to him in 12 years. Let me reach out. Let me see if I can find him on social media. I go and send him a friend request, assuming it was him. He messages me the next day, and he goes instantly. He's like, fireworks as soon as I saw your photos. And I'm like, what? He sends me a photo of himself. My heart literally dropped into my stomach. And I was like, what was that? It was the weirdest thing. And so a lot of times when people do see pictures of their twin flame, they can panic cry, or they can panic laugh. Like sometimes, like if I go a long time without seeing a picture of my twin, I'll look at it and I'm like, and it's like this weird giddy laugh that I cannot control, because I think that's my higher self feeling that way. Because a lot of times it's not even our emotions, it's our higher self's emotions or our twins' emotions. But if you felt you wanted to get out, that's definitely karmic.
Yeah. Oh, it feels karmic. My confusion was because it feels karmic, very karmic. I mean, I'm quite clear of that. And it's no longer so much about him that feels triggering. It's more, how the hell did I put myself through that for so long, and why? But I'm forgiving myself. It's okay. But it still feels, I guess it's the length of time and the intensity of the karmicness that I still feel like, you know, half of me is not here.
It could also be, so because I believe everybody's soul, you know, that's what the twin flame is like your soul is split in half with someone else, right? That's why, and what you could be feeling is the need to go home to your twin. Maybe that, you know, that person is clearly not your twin, but it could be that your twin is out there, or your twin could be guiding you. So a lot of times our twins are not incarnated with us in this lifetime. They're actually a guide for us. And you may be feeling your twin heavily. So what I would do, perhaps meditate on it and try to connect with your twin flame and see, like, ask questions like, hey, I'd like to connect with my twin flames or my twin souls. I mean, twin soul is another term for it. They're just labels, but my other half of the soul, right? Who are you? Where are you? Are you here on this earth? Or are you guiding me on my journey, right? Because if you didn't have somebody that triggered that dark night of the soul, but you went through anyway, it could be that it's somebody guiding you through this journey, and they're in the astral realm, you know, like on the other side.
Yeah.
And that's why you feel like your other half is missing, is out there. Because that's how I felt too, right? Like since I was a little girl, I was always like, I feel like my other half is out there, like that one, you know, when we long for the one, that's what the one is. It is literally your other half, the other half of you on a soul level. We just, of course, growing up, you know, as humans, we don't know what that is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Such a good explanation, Jessica. I was getting goosebumps while you were talking. So
Oh, I love that.
I wanted to just let everybody know that if you want to, you can put questions in the chat for Jessica. So I'm going to ask her another question now, but if you have any questions, you can pop them in the chat and we'll get to them when we next have a little mini break. So okay, well, if you don't mind another question.
Don't mind at all. I could be on this all day, girl.
Okay. But what I was wondering, if you could summarize what divine feminines and divine masculines should be working on. So you've touched on what divine feminine should be working on, and do they have any tools available to help them? Yeah, if you could.
Okay, so yeah, so one thing that I would really like to explain on this journey, so when we are going through that dark night of the soul, what happens in the beginning is we actually are working on our upper chakras. Okay, so we're working on our heart, our throat, third eye, and our crown. And this is why we start to evolve more spiritually, and we're entering that 5D consciousness. And what happens in the beginning is the masculines are actually working on their lower chakras. And that's why we're kind of like, what's going on? How come you're not elevating? A lot of the divine feminines will say, oh, you're not waking up, because they're not meant to wake up spiritually right away. That's our job. Our job, the divine feminines have to wake up spiritually. They're leading the journey spiritually. That is why when the divine feminine is on this journey, we do not reach out to them in the 3D. We do not message them. We do not call them. We work on ourselves spiritually. And we let our inner divine feminine just go with the flow and connect with God and, connect with our higher selves. And it's all about coming to our higher selves, like being in alignment with our spiritual path. Whereas the divine masculines lead physically, they lead in the 3D. And so they're working on their body, they're working on their career, they're working on themselves on all the physical aspects. Now, what happens is once the divine feminines have worked on themselves through, like I said, meditation, Reiki, just connecting with God, they're praying every day, they're meditating, right? Those are usually the techniques that we should be doing is through meditation. You can do shadow work, you can do breath work. All of these techniques help, but I feel like the main one is honestly is meditating, and it's just listening to your higher self, listening to your intuition. What is your heart guiding you to do, right? Not thinking with your ego, telling your ego to step aside. Because a lot of times ego will kick in and be like, this isn't a twin flame journey. The doubt kicks in. This isn't a twin flame journey. This person doesn't even want you. This person hasn't even reached out to you. So your doubt and your ego kick in, and you have to just trust in God. So the main purpose of the divine feminine is to meditate, to pray, trust in God, surrender, have faith, and just focus on her higher self, trusting in her intuition. When we surrender, that is us being in our divine feminine state, is just surrendering, being in the state of flow, letting things be. Do not force anything. Now, what happens after we have accomplished our upper chakras, we then reverse. The divine feminines then start to work on our lower chakras. So we start working on our career, we start working on grounding, our money, right? Our mission. That's when the mission comes in. And then suddenly divine masculines are switching, and they're kind of like having their awakening, and they're confused. What's going on? They're not tapped into their emotions and their feelings and their heart, right? So for them, it's really, really hard. That's why I say, excuse me, the divine masculines kind of have it harder on this journey. A lot of people think, oh, divine feminines have to do all the work. Yeah, it seems that way because you're starting by going, evolving spiritually, but we're more connected to our intuition. As a woman, women are more connected to their intuition. So for us, it's kind of easier to tap into our spirituality. Whereas men, biologically, they can't. Not that they can't, but it's harder for them. It's hard for them to grasp on what is spirituality, what is this awakening that I'm having. They go through it, but it's harder for them. And that's why I actually sympathize with the divine masculines, because they don't know how to do those things. And so that's why I'm trying to work with the divine masculines more and, show them the way. And that's essentially what divine feminines are doing, is leading the way spiritually. So once we start aligning spiritually, the divine masculines will then follow. Okay. And that's essentially what happens. We work on all our chakras, our upper and then reverse, and then they do the same thing.
Okay, that's it's just taking me a moment to just like absorb everything you've just said, because
I know it's a lot. If you need clarity, let me know, because I know sometimes I go off on a tangent. So if I do go off on a tangent, let me know, ask for clarity, whatever it is.
And I do get your sympathy with the divine masculines, because I'd say all the men that I know in my family specifically, they would struggle to even have a conversation with a peer at work, never mind do this deep level work. So I can imagine it's going to be very tough for them. They are
Right.
through a real tough time.
Serena has a question.
Yes, Serena, please go ahead. Oh, can you please give an approximation of how many souls on Earth right now are meant to be given the opportunity to be on a twin flame journey?
Right, I was literally just going to ask that. I was just going to ask that question.
Oh, wow.
Because there's something about the 1 to 2%, wasn't there? Actually very rare.
There was a video of this woman. What was her? Do you remember her name? Serena Maria. It starts with an M.
On Medusa's eyes on TikTok.
No, not that one.
No.
It's a brunette. It's a brunette. She's on YouTube. Anyway, so she was channeling, and she says that only 1 to 2% are going to be on the twin flame journey. And to be honest, I agree with her. I actually wanted to make a video on this recently, but I haven't gotten around to it. And the reason I feel that, and I know to a lot of people, it doesn't seem that way. It seems a lot higher because it's become such a trend. But if you think about it, social media, it spreads like wildfire, right? But a lot of times people think they're on the journey, but they're really not. And one way that I can tell that it's only 1 to 2% is look at your circle of friends. How many of them are on the twin flame journey? None. Almost none, except for Serena. Somehow she might have multiple friends that may be on the journey. I don't know. But I talk to a lot of people. None of them are on the twin flame journey. People look at me like I'm crazy. So if you think about it, you're that one. If you're on the journey, let's say you're all on the journey, right? You're that 1%, but the people around you are not, right? So of course on social media, it seems like a lot because why? All the twin flames are gathering together and they're finding their community, they're finding their people, and they're like, I'm on the journey, I'm on the journey. So it seems like a lot. But when you think about it, it's really, really not. Yeah, it was said it was the original 144,000 souls of volunteers. Yeah, I kind of believe that. It does seem like very, very little. I honestly don't know. I think it could be more than 144,000, but I definitely don't think everybody, how can I say? I don't think everybody's on the journey. Like I said, it's possible that you have a twin flame, but they're just not incarnated with you in this lifetime. So you won't be going through the journey, if that makes sense. Yes, Serena?
Just coming back to what you said earlier, you said about how often a lot of our twin flames may be incarnated in the 5D or not incarnated in this lifetime. And because a lot of us are Akashic record readers, we understand about the timelines and the multiverse, and everything is happening simultaneously anyway. And I think one of our colleagues, one of our readers, Cameron, I don't know if he's on the call today, but if you look at his website, he actually is a twin flame, and his divine feminine is incarnated in the 5D. So she's not actually in the physical realm, and he offers readings with her, which is so beautiful. And the feminine, the masculine that he provides for the reading is just so, it blew me away, because I did a reading for him recently, and he was like, go check out what I do. I was like, I love this. But I think he just does like written readings, but she's his guide, and she's beautiful, and she's a galactic divine feminine, and they work together. So yeah, it may be that you're a twin, but they're just not incarnated, so there's no right or wrong with that.
Exactly. And that could be what's going on with Trish, right? Like if she's having that feeling of like, oh, I feel like my other half is there. Or it could be you're still going to meet your twin. You never know, right? Like I always had that feeling, like I feel like the one is out there, and I was married and I still felt that way. Like even being with my own spouse, because a lot of times people who meet their twin flame are already married, because typically you marry a soulmate because it's a lot more peaceful, it's a lot easier. And unfortunately, twin flames will meet or connect when they're married. Like I met my twin before I was married, but I didn't have that awakening with him. I was too young. Just like in my Akashic record reading with Pravina, which I said I would mention, I had a reading with her, and I don't even think she believes in twin flames. And yet her guides or my guides came through and spewed out so much information about my twin. I was not expecting that either, because it was my first Akashic record reading. And and so I thought it was just going to be about me and my past lives, and what I had no clue what I was in for. And she said right away, oh my God, I'm feeling this love this man has for you. I'm seeing this metallic cord between your chakra and your heart chakra and his heart chakra, and it cannot be broken. And it's been with you in all of your lifetimes, even when you weren't together. And I'm like, what? That is literally one of the signs of a twin flame, is that you have that unbreakable cord. Excuse me, my throat today. It's that throat chakra, right? My goodness.
Yeah.
And something else she said was the reason why it didn't work when we met, because we met when I was like about 24, and I didn't have that spark. I thought, oh wow, he's really cute, but I was so distracted with other things, like 3D like things, that I didn't give it any thought. You know, it was just like, oh, he's very attractive and whatever. And he left. I didn't hear from him for so many years, and it still unfazed me, right? And she told me that the guides were saying, you didn't think it'd be that easy, did you? You couldn't be with him earlier in your 20s because it wouldn't have worked out, because you were not spiritually evolved. So you had to meet and then re-meet. But it was, she said, it's so weird how I remember so much of what she said. And I'm so bummed that we didn't record the call, but luckily I wrote everything. And she said, it was your birthright. From the moment you were born, you were destined to be with this person. And I thought, what? And there were some other things in the Akashic record reading that she said, you know, like for example, in twin flame journeys, I always say divine feminines, don't reach out to your twin flame. Don't reach out to your divine masculine. The divine masculine is the one that's supposed to reach out, because they have to take action. It is their job. However, there are some exceptions. So I had this inner knowing that one day I would have to reach out to my divine masculine. In fact, I did it twice. I did it 3 months after our no contact. So after separation, I had already done a lot of work, and I told him about how I felt about him. And then on his birthday, and 2 weeks before his birthday was when I had my reading with Pravina. And she told me, you have to reach out to him, because otherwise he's not going to reach out to you. He's just too, I don't know if it was like he was stuck in his pride or his ego. He just needed to be a little bit more triggered to know that you still care, essentially, in order for him to reach out. And I thought, well, that's funny, because I was going to reach out to him for his birthday, but with no expectations, no chasing energy. She goes, good, that's exactly what you need to do. And that will lead you to your harmonious union. And so that's what I did, with no chaser energy. And what happened that day is I felt his higher self's energy so excited that I was going to do that. I was getting giddy, and I'm like, what is this? Because I wasn't giddy. I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this. But I felt his higher self getting so excited. And what happened is when he responded, I could see the excitement in his response, right? So we can feel our divine masculines. And there's just been so much proof with Pravina's reading. I had a reading with Catherine, you know, also with Serena, and everything's been playing out perfectly. And as everything's been said, it just resonates, right? I don't know what we were talking about before. I'm sorry. I did it again.
Serena, what question did you ask? Is your question answered? Yes, she's
okay. Sorry. The 1 to 2%. And how did I get to this for the readings? Oh my God, that's so funny. Like I said, I could go on and on.
No, I appreciate that you can. I appreciate your knowledge in the subject. It's just astounding.
Thank you.
And can I just ask, is this why you got into this work in the first place? Because you were awakened, and then you chose
So
yeah.
the way I got into it, I didn't think I was going to be doing this, but essentially after, you know, my dark night of the soul, I had to have an outlet. I wanted to not reach out. So what I did is I started writing. So one of the things that you should do if you are on this journey is just write out your feelings, write everything out. And so there was a platform, medium.com, that I was writing my articles anonymously about my journey, about him. I thinking it was an emotional affair and that's all it was. And then it was on that platform that I read about twin flames. And that's usually what happens with people, is they find out about twin flames randomly after going through dark night of the soul. So once I read an article on it, I thought, oh my God, this is it. It just clicked within me. This is what I'm on. And I started doing my research and research and research and research. And it was just like, almost like an obsession, but it was a passion. It was a passion of mine. And everything just hit. And I would use my discernment of what was true and what wasn't, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And then I just started learning. And then months later, I want to say 6 months later, 9 months later. Yeah, 6 months later, I put a video on TikTok responding to somebody about, you know, people who try to label all relationships, that if a man really wanted you, he would, right? This is what people say. This is the norm. This is what society teaches you. Oh, if a man really wants you, he would chase you. He would go after you. And I said, you know, that's not always true. And so I was responding to this person's video. And I said, especially in a twin flame dynamic, that doesn't always work, because a twin flame, divine masculine, tends to run because of the intensity. And a lot of times men are actually quite shy and scared. And that video went viral in one weekend. And suddenly I'm getting comments and messages saying, hey, do you do coaching? Can I please come to you for help? I really want your assistance. And that was how I got my business started. And also, I do want to add, I listened to my higher self. One thing that I was doing a lot on this journey that I feel is very, very important for divine feminines to do. Because this journey is about finding your mission and your purpose, when we are praying and meditating, one thing that we should always be asking is, God, how can I be of service to you? What is my mission? Instead of asking, God, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you bring my twin flame back? No, don't do that. You need to focus on yourself first. You need to figure out your mission first. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I don't know what is going on today. This is wild. And so I tried muting myself, but it didn't allow me to. So one thing that I was always doing was, how can I be of service to you, God? What is my mission? What can I do? And I kept hearing, you're here to help twin flames. And my intuition knew that that was true, but my ego was like, but you're not even in union, girlfriend. What are you doing? How are you going to help twin flames? Even one of my girlfriends would say the same thing, but you're not in union, babe. I'm like, doesn't matter. I feel called to do it. And I'm so glad that I did. And this is why you should never let anyone tell you what you should or shouldn't do. You need to just listen to your heart and listen to your higher self. Listen to God. You will hear that calling. I kept hearing it over and over and over again. And I'm so glad that I did. And so many people bring me to tears with the messages that I've received when they say, I know that God brought me here to you. It blows my mind when I get messages like that. You were a messenger from God for me on my journey. You helped me so much. People that I have never even coached, just by watching my videos or listening to me speak, etc. And it's that, to me, is like, okay, thank you, God. I feel like I'm fulfilling my mission. Thank you to you. Like, I listened to you, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's how I got to where I am.
That makes perfect sense to my mind. And just incidentally, when the air comes up like that, especially when you're mentioning the word higher self or connecting with your higher self, that's just confirmation to me, because that happens to me all the time when I mention higher self. Boom, the higher self gets so excited that you are speaking finally the truth, that, and that's its I've asked many times with the guides and the higher self to have a little bit more ladylike way of expressing that it's there. And they say, no, unequivocally, you are having this air come up because we know you, it will get your attention. And two, it's just the way it is, you know, that's how they express that. And
Wow. Yeah, because I was fine all day, and then all of a sudden on the call, it's just like I have to keep clearing my throat. And it's like you said, it's not very ladylike. It's quite annoying because sometimes it can be very not like rough, aggressive.
absolutely.
It looks like Nyana has a question.
Yeah, carry on.
I'm not an Akashic reader, so can you explain 5D to me? And also what you said about, oh, you're not in union, so how could you? So what does that mean when you're in union or not in union, please?
So because I'm not in union, physical union with my divine masculine, with my twin flame. So my friend would say that because we were what's considered separation. So when you're in no contact, but by the way, separation is considered to be an illusion because we are one with them. It's just that physically we're in separation, but we try not to say those terms because we don't want to manifest more separation. So yeah, so I'm not in physical union, 3D union, but I am in union. I like to say I'm not in 3D union with my twin, but I'm in 5D union with them because I've had many visuals of us being literally like one together. What was your question about 3D, 5D?
What's 5D? What is 5D?
5D consciousness. It's just about like more of an elevated consciousness. I know Serena would be better at explaining this. I'm, you know, she's all no. So 3D consciousness is what everybody is essentially, what we're all trained, how we're all trained to believe, what we're all taught, right? So society, social conditioning, that is like what we like to call 3D. It's like the third dimensional, it's what we see, right? 5D.
Would you say 3D is body consciousness and 5D is more like soul consciousness?
Exactly. To me it is. I that's how I feel it is. 3D is also very matrix like. It's just basically essentially what social conditioning has been for you, right? That's how I see it anyway. And then 5D consciousness is kind of seeing more with your third eye, right? It's getting a feel, it's connecting with your higher self, it's being awakened. 5D consciousness is being spiritually awakened. You're open and awakened to what society is not teaching you. It's what you're knowing the unknown. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know, Serena and Catherine, if you guys want to
no, that's
a little bit
I
more.
understand.
Yeah.
I thought it was, but I just wanted to know that that is what we're talking about and not something else that I haven't got a clue about.
Oh, okay.
That's correct. And then Serena has a question in the chat.
Diana Cooper explains the dimensions beautifully in her books, but so does Catherine. Yeah, Diana Cooper has a book. What is it called again? The Golden Era? Yeah, the Golden Era. What does she say?
The Golden Future by Diana Cooper.
Golden Future.
It's absolutely highly recommend that one. Audible book.
It's really good. So Diana Cooper essentially, and it's funny, I was just telling Serena the other day, how, you know, we all hear about like the Jesus's second coming. All the Christians believe that Jesus' second coming is he's gonna reappear, right? Whether it's him or some form of consciousness, we don't really know, right? And I always thought, I don't know why, but it's like, I just feel it's going to be 2000 years after he died. So 2032 or 2033, but I always kept getting the number 2032. And I'm reading or listening to Diana Cooper's audiobook, and she keeps saying the golden era is going to be 2032, where we're all going to be connected to each other spiritually, telepathically, where there's just going to be so many different things happening. And as I'm listening to this book, I didn't even realize she's saying the year that I always thought of Jesus's second coming. But Jesus's second coming, I feel, is really Christ consciousness. We're all going to be awakening to Christ consciousness. We're going to have that within us. That is Jesus's second coming. It's our, our birthright to have that spiritual awakening where we're all connected, we're all one, and we're all living this like so beautifully. instead of wars and all this other stuff going on. We're all going to be living in like wonderful communities. So Diana Cooper's book is really, really good. And yes, Simrat Singh is saying, I also love all the Dolores Cannon books. I haven't read her books, but I've learned a lot by watching videos on her, and she is phenomenal. Phenomenal. So yeah, I agree. Who is Simrat, by the way? Oh, okay, her, there we go. She also asked, are we in union with your twin flame in the astral realm? So yeah, that's what I mean by the 5D union. That would be kind of like the astral realm. So yeah, I would consider myself to be in union in the astral realm with my twin, just because I've seen him so much. And I think most people are. It's so, for example, I've had couple clients who've told me that they've literally seen their souls merging, like they had a vision. So I remember one of my clients, she told me that as soon as she touched her twin's hand, and she didn't know that they were twins at the time, but this was like what sparked it. And I remember she said that his voice is what activated her. So she heard his voice before she even saw him. She heard him walk in the bar, and she felt this crazy activation inside of her. And she looked at him, and it was the voice. So a lot of times we are activated either by the voice or by the eyes. I think for me, it was the eyes, because I hadn't even heard my twin's voice. And it was just, like I said, that whole, the heart just sank into my stomach, right? And she said that when she touched his hand, she suddenly had this vision of his soul and her soul rising and meeting and just merging as one in like right above them. It's wild. So yeah, I think our twins are, us and our twins, our souls are essentially, they are one. It's just in the physical, we want to be in union, physical union, right? So the 3D union is what we like to call it. So, and that is a matter of you working on yourself spiritually, having that divine inner union before you can get into physical union with your twin.
Very good. I think that was all the questions.
Serena's raising her hand.
Serena. Yeah, I was looking at the chat. Yeah, Serena, what would you like to say?
Sorry, yeah, I did put in the chat just about the common signs about twin flames and what would someone look for, you know, the synchronicities, if they look alike, that kind of thing, the parallel lives, you know, how many books you write, because you said about writing down, if you think you've met your twin, start writing down what it is about this connection. So what, you did a video on this on your page, but just share with everyone what would be the common signs people would look for.
Right. So there, yeah, I made a video. It was like 19 signs. Here it comes again. Oh my goodness, 19 signs. And then I added one more. It was the 20 signs. So like I said, first you meet this person. So number one sign is you meet this person. It's a very intense connection right away. But like I said, we can have this with multiple people, including karmics. It's very, very passionate, very like instant right away. It's just like it's super fiery, super magnetic. And it feels like a sensation of being at home, right? Another thing that happens on the journey is you have what's called word vomit or truth serum. You just want to spew out everything. Everything just comes out naturally to this person, and you start questioning yourself. Why did I just say that? Why, right? My twin and I, we started saying things day one. And like I said, we hadn't talked in 12 years. And I wondered, wow, I can't believe he just like had so much courage to tell me what he just did. And then I did the same thing. So that's another sign, is you have word vomit. I know with soulmates, we can also feel very comfortable in speaking with them, and it can also have a feeling of being at home. It's just not quite the same. So that's why there are multiple other signs. And then of course, there always has to be a separation, always. That is one of the main signs among twin flames, is that the separation has to occur. It could be for a few days, a few weeks, months, but it has to occur so that the divine feminine can go within and go through that dark night of the soul and that ego death. If there is no separation, like I've had clients who didn't have separation for a year, that's typically a soulmate. It could be a high level soulmate. So high level soulmates can also look alike. Some twin flames can also look alike as well. But a lot of soulmates will really look alike. Parallel lives, yes, that can happen with twin flames, but that can also happen with soulmates too, I believe. What's another one? So yeah, like I said, it has to be a separation. They tend to ghost, they leave. And then there's that healing, the spiritual awakening. That's also a very, very big sign, is the divine feminine has to go through a massive, massive spiritual awakening, like really, really going within. Let me see. Oh, another thing that happens. So yes, you have the obsessive thoughts. You can't stop thinking about them, but sometimes people confuse this with limerence. You really cannot let go of this person, no matter how hard you try. I remember wanting to move on because I'm married, or I wasn't, I'll just say I was married at the time when I met my twin. And I thought, God, this doesn't make sense, because one, we're both married. My twin and I are both married. He lives on a completely other continent. That's another thing that happens among twin flames. There tend to be obstacles like age gap, location, religion, like culture, and marriage. So you don't have to have all of them, but you have to have at least one. There's always an obstacle. It is a pain in the butt. And so for me, I have marriage and location. So he's all the way in America, I'm in Portugal, and it's a pain, and we're both married, etc. So you have to have those. And so for me, I was thinking, God, please just, make this connection go away. Make the obsessive thoughts go away, right? And the more you try, and this is the thing, because usually with a karmic or a soulmate, if you ask and you try to cut the energetic cord, the soul bond between you and that person, if it's not a twin flame, you can cut it. They may still be in your life, but you won't feel that intensity anymore. With a twin flame, it gets more intense, and you see more signs. You are bombarded by number signs, their initials, their name, their birthday. You hear songs that always reminded you of them. You see people that look like them, because God is trying to remind you of this person to stay on track. The universe does not want you to move on. Because if you move on, what happens is you're not going to continue working on yourself. You're going to be like, okay, well, whatever, I'm just going to go back to my 3D self. No, but your twin flame wants you to continue working on yourself, because you have to stay on track. You have to stay on mission to become the best version of yourself. And the only way that can happen is for your twin flame to stay in your mind. Why? Because your traumas will come to surface for you to heal them. That is another thing that happens on this journey. So the confusion between karmics and twin flames, I have to add this as well, is that people will say, oh, a karmic triggers you. I know we're running out of time, but a karmic will trigger you. They trigger you almost intentionally, right? They fight with you. It's so toxic. Whereas a twin flame never intentionally triggers you. Your traumas will just naturally come to surface, such as lack of self-love, your inner child wounds, and they won't even say or do anything for that to happen. This is what I mean, what people mean by your triggers. You get triggered and your traumas come to surface. It's not intentionally. Twin flames are not mean. They're actually very, very kind soul, because that is the other half of you. They don't want to be mean. So your traumas and triggers come to surface for you to heal them, so you can heal within before you can actually be in union. So that's another big sign of being on this journey. You can't cut the cord with them, no matter how hard you try. And the more you try, the more you will get sick, and the more bombarded with signs you will get. Another really big sign that I find on this journey, if you are married or if you're in a relationship when you meet your twin flame, this is a really tough pill to swallow, but you have a hard time sleeping with your own partner, because you then feel like you're cheating on your twin flame, even if you've never been intimate with your twin. Serena's face. I literally was crying when my own husband would try to sleep with me, and I didn't understand why. And I'm like, why do I feel this way? I've never been intimate with my twin. This doesn't make any sense. And yet my soul was literally crying, begging me to stop it, stop it, stop it. You were cheating on your divine counterpart. That's what it feels like. So that's a really big sign that you're on the twin flame journey, is you suddenly cannot sleep with your own partner. And it makes it really hard for the divine feminine to continue engaging intimacy with their partner, which is why a lot of times the divine feminine, if they are married or in a relationship, they end up leaving because it's too much to bear. It's really, really hard and also unfair to the partner. The divine masculine, on the other hand, has an easier time going with it. They can sleep, but it's still hard for them. They're trying to move on from the divine feminine, trying to move on from the connection. So what they do is they tend to either drink alcohol, do drugs, or sleep with, multiple partners to get over their twin, their counterpart, because they don't know it's a twin flame. So they're doing everything they can to try to move on. So sleeping with someone else or multiple people is one of the ways. And then they eventually realize, oh, I can't move on because no matter who I sleep with and what I do, this person is still in the back of my mind obsessively. So those are some of the signs, some of the very, very big, strong signs. Of course, telepathy, you love them unconditionally, even if if you feel like they hurt you because they left, yet you still can't be mad at them. Another thing that I've experienced, not everyone else has, but I've seen his eyes in my eyes when looking in the mirror. And that was the trippiest thing that's ever happened to me, was just, I'm looking in the mirror and suddenly I feel like I'm looking at his eyes. And I just kept going, what is that? So, and these are very spiritual things that we cannot explain, right? But it's proof right there, right? You don't experience this with anybody else. You only experience this with a twin. I feel like Simra is like having a realization that she may be on the journey. Is that true?
I was about to, I literally sent something in the chat and then I'm like, that's okay, not important. I just said, literally what I just deleted was, Jessica, I am dying. This is the story of my life.
I knew it. I could see in your soul, like in
like,
your face when I'm talking, you just like, oh my God, oh, like realization after realization. Yeah. So it's wild how this happens, and these are some of the things that unfortunately happen. We don't want it to happen because you want to be able to continue a normal relationship with your partner, especially if they're a soulmate, right? The last thing you want to do is hurt them. But unfortunately, these are soul contracts and they're not meant to be forever. They're here temporarily. They're here to help you grow for a certain period, right? And then you go on, you're evolving. Your soulmate's not evolving with you all the time. And so you're evolving and you meet your true divine counterpart. And, it's the divine counterpart, your twin flame, twin soul, whatever you want to call it, is here to help you grow and evolve. And no, we don't always get to be in physical union with our twin. This is something that a lot of people ask me. However, I do believe we can have union. Some people say, oh, union's impossible. No, I think union is very, very possible. And I think it will be even more possible come 2024 and especially 2025. I feel most twin flames will be in union by 2025.
Okay. Yeah, very good, Serena. So one more question for you, Jessica. What are your plans for 2024? What are you looking at doing? Are you going to be still coaching, or how?
Yeah, I'll still be coaching. I want to host retreats. So I'm going to start off with an online retreat, most likely January. I was hoping to do it this month, but it's with Christmas time and everything. No. So I'm thinking in January, I'm going to be doing an online retreat, about 3 hours. It'll be basically a workshop or a retreat, if you will, and only be online for now. Just because I have so many followers on TikTok and I want to help them. I want to help the masses, right? And so I think it would be a great way to start is by doing it online. And it'll basically be a workshop to help you have divine inner union, mind, body, and soul, right? How can you work on yourself spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, like all of those things. And then eventually I would love to host an in-person retreat, either here in Portugal or in Bali or Sedona, Arizona. Sedona keeps calling me for some reason. I keep getting signs and call and to go there. So I may do it there, but for now it'll be online, maybe Portugal. Oh, and I'm going to also be getting my certification in March to become a yoga instructor. So I can add that to my in-person retreat.
Nice, very, very nice. So, and if anybody watching this call would like to learn more about these things, how do they contact you?
Yeah, they can find me on social media, TikTok and Instagram. It's guided space. It's GUIDED SPACE. And the reason why I have to spell it is because there are so many like scam accounts, fake accounts. So they'll put like guided spaces or guided space one, guided dot space. It's just guided space. And through my TikTok and Instagram, you will see the link to go, because I think it's I don't even remember off the top of my head what it is.
I'll add it to the bottom of
It's the
the
Wix site. Yeah.
I'll add it. Don't worry, I've got it. I'll copy and paste it below the video so people can contact you directly and
Thank you.
and
Yes,
contact
you can book a one-on-one with me. I also offer group support calls. So they're bi-weekly group support calls. So you can either pay per session, per call, or a monthly rate. I do discounted rates for 3 sessions with me, or you could do 1 session per month with me, plus being part of the group support calls. And in the calls, what we do is I'll talk for a little bit, you know, I'll see how everybody's feeling. I'll give some guidance. And then I do a Q&A kind of like we did here, right? So I'm talking, and then I answer people's questions. And the reason why I also did the group support calls is because I feel like so many people are on this journey and they feel alone, right? Especially going through dark night of the soul. It is a very, very dark and heavy time. And sometimes the dark night of the soul can last a long time. And if you don't have anyone to talk to about that, it gets very lonely and it's destructive. It's horrible. This is why I say I sympathize for the divine masculines, because they don't they're not, first of all, they're not emotional. They don't connect with people like that, right? And who the heck are they going to talk to about this kind of thing, right? So I formed this group. It's still kind of small still, but it's for people to connect with others as well, so they don't feel alone on this journey. Because the last thing I want is for somebody to feel alone, you know, when they're not. There's so many people on this, and that's why I started making these videos in the first place, because I remember what it was like feeling alone and not having anyone to talk to. And anytime I would try to talk to people about this, they'd be like, just get over him. I'm like, I tried, trust me. It's not that easy. So no one understands the journey unless they're on a twin flame journey, or unless they're spiritually evolved, they can get some kind of grasp on it. So that's why I always say, don't talk to people who about your journey who are not on the journey, because they will never understand.
Just won't get it. No. And you've opened my eyes to so much, because I'm definitely not on the journey, but I've just been so blown over by everything that you've said, and it just really strikes a chord within me. I can feel the energy of it. It feels so real. I know it's real. That's what
maybe you're on the journey then.
Well, I'm not having so fingers crossed. Yeah. No, it's all good. Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no further questions, we're a little bit over time.
Serena has her hand up.
Serena has a question, yes.
Sorry, Catherine. Yeah, I just wanted to say, so, you know, for our fellow Akashic readers as well, and people that have done the higher self workshop with yourself, or even the Merkaba activation, there's a couple of things that Jessica said that just reminded me to kind of string it back together with what you do, because Jessica's mentioned, obviously, the higher self connection is so important. So what I'm finding we're doing is I'm sending people who are from, you know, maybe Jessica's coaching, or whether I'm then, right, go and book a one-to-one session with Catherine, do your higher self connection, because she said that's one of the biggest things the divine feminines need to do. So if anyone hasn't done it, go do the higher self workshop with Catherine straight away, get that established, connect with that, because that's going to heighten the spiritual gifts and, you know, connect how we're supposed to. Second thing is the Merkaba. So most of you have activated your Merkaba on this level 1 and 2. Do you remember level 1 when we go up? I think is it the 11th dimension where the spiritual gifts are brought down, and in the 10th we balance the divine feminine and masculine. So I think your advice, Catherine, to even Jessica, was for union, can balance that divine masculine feminine with your Merkaba. So that is another key point of getting to union. So that is going to be pinnacle. I think this is going to be like, you guys got to work together here, because this is just balancing out, you know. And the last was when I found personally, I'm reading for a lot of twin flames because I resonate as a twin flame. So then that I can empathize with them. And what I'm finding is when the guides come through, because we know, Catherine and fellow readers, we know they don't deal with labels. They're like, it's a soul connection. The energy is the energy, masculine, femme, whatever, So they don't tend to come through and say, yes, this is your twin flame. However, as an observation, and I know, Catherine, we were going to speak about this in an Akashic spiritual hour, but we'll cover it again. What I found the observation is they will show this connection, this cord that she mentioned, that Pravina had the same thing from her guides for Jessica. It's like it's almost like a Kundalini cord. So anytime a twin flame sat in front of me and they give me the name, this cord, like almost like this, is shown, and it's like an unbreakable cord between them. Whereas when it's a soulmate, they're on the carousel, they're going round, they're on that, it's the guides seem to have the same analogy for the readers and for the sitters, that yeah, that's a soulmate, yeah, a high level soulmate, possibly twin flame. So then we can establish that clarity. But again, we say, look, guides don't do labels, but this is what they're showing us. So that's how I present it. So hopefully that will help our fellow readers as well.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Thank you, Serena. Yeah, and if I ask the guides point blank, is this a twin flame, they will often give me a yes or a no. Or sometimes they say, you could use that terminology here if you so wish. Yes, I know what you mean. Absolutely. But yeah, I know we could definitely work together on different things, because there's lots of overlapping, I'm noticing as well. Like,
and the Merkaba activation is actually something I wanted to do. I use my my Metatron necklace, the cube, Metatron's cube necklace, which is basically your Merkaba, right? That's the Merkaba, the symbol essentially. And so I use that and visualize that as my energies. But one way that I also like to balance energies, and this is going to be part of the workshop that I'll be doing, or online retreat, if you will, is basically going to teach people about their chakras, because the chakras are also masculine and feminine energies, and we need to balance that within us, because our chakra system is connected to theirs. So we are actually aligned with our twin flames chakras. So when we balance our chakras, we're balancing their chakras as well. So that is why I feel like I have to teach people that. I don't know if it's like the Merkaba. I'm assuming it's different, right? Because Merkaba is more about getting into dimensions, correct? But with Reiki, I feel like I won't be teaching them Reiki, like the symbols or anything, but I'm basically going to be teaching how they can balance their energies within, and what each chakra is, to balance the masculine and feminine energies, because that's essentially what this journey is about.
yeah, sounds magical.
Sorry, I wanted to just make one comment. Sorry, one comment about just what Catherine and Serena were saying, that I don't think the guides always give you a clear yes or no if it's not in the highest and best interest for that person to know yet, if that's your twin flame or not. Because I've asked this question so many times. That's why I was like, oh my God, because it wasn't my time to know yet, because that would have led me to a very different journey. And I found this with other people, and I've also gotten the visual of the snakes twirling around, kind of doing like wrapping, kind of into a kind of yeah, that visual. I was gonna write that down earlier, so I'm glad you mentioned it.
And I think Serena's also gotten the vision of the infinity symbol, correct? The 8. So 8 is a very big twin flame number. So we see 88 or 888. So the infinity symbol, because you're always connected, you're always one. Is it I guess another symbol that Akashic record readers can see for a twin flame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, what an interesting hour.
We went over too.
An hour and a bit. Yeah, interesting lunchtime hour. Well, yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming along, Jessica. It's been very illuminating and very, very helpful for so many people. I can just tell so many that couldn't make it today will be very much appreciative of everything that you've said so far. So
I'm glad I could be here. Thank you so much for having me. And it was so lovely meeting all of you too.
And I will discuss the Merkaba with you at another time. I'll contact you after this so that we can.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take
All
care.
right. Have a magical day, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.